Hi there. Welcome to the Red Sea podcast. I am Statman Stubbs, and this is another episode of A Rival's Point of View. We're going to be previewing this coming Saturday's game against Crystal Palace. I've got three Crystal Palace fans with me this evening, so I'm a bit outnumbered. So guys in the chat, please obviously try and stick up for me because I'm going to be outnumbered. But tonight we're going to focus on the head-to-head record with Crystal Palace. We're going to focus on the danger men, season so far, where they think they will come May, thoughts on the opposition manager, and also prediction at the end. Before we get into that and before I introduce the guests, let's roll with the intro and we'll get straight into it.
Tell the world we are Liverpool, champions of England.
We've conquered all of Europe. We're never gonna stop. From Palestine to Turkey, we've won the fucking lot. But Paisley and the Shankly, the fields of Anfield gold. We are unsupported, and we come from Liverpool.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is well. As you can see, it's 8 p.m. Thursday evening. Another episode of A Rival's Point of View. We have got Crystal Palace this weekend in the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff. We're looking forward to previewing that game. We're going to go through the head-to-head, like I say, various different other topics as well. But let's get into it straight away. As you can see, I've got a few guests on here. Let's get into it straight away. So first of all, I've got Rich, Eagle-Eyed Football. How are you, mate?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. You doing all right, though, yeah?
Yeah, all good, all good.
Good. Harry, thanks for coming on, mate. How are you?
Yep, all good, thank you. Thanks for having us as well.
Not a problem. And Steve as well. How are you, mate?
Yeah, pleasure to be on. Thanks for inviting me.
Not a problem at all. So just before we get into it, we've got Hector in the chat. Hello, SMS. Hope you're well, Hector. Appreciate you coming in the chat as always. And I know you were on the Red Sea Down Under earlier on. And Umar as well. Nice intro music. Yeah, appreciate it. Just said to the lads there. Guys, I mean, what was your opinion? Obviously, Crystal Palace fans, what did you think of the music?
I quite liked it, to be fair.
Yeah,
I was nodding my head along to it. Yeah,
I sat here and I was just restraining myself from that.
Yeah,
it was unique. To be honest with you, it was unique. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah. First thing we're going to go into, which I said earlier on, is the head-to-head. Before I go into it, are you familiar with what the current record is, head-to-head wise, home and away, or any sort of ideas?
I don't think we've beaten you in like 7-8 games or something.
Yeah, recent history is not good. So
yeah, we were like your nemesis for a while, and we really enhanced that. And I think in recent times, probably the last 2 or 3 seasons, I think we've probably given you a little bit too much respect and allowed you to sort of pressurize us, and the results have shown, I think.
Yeah,
I think 2016 was the last time we beat you, wasn't it? When Benteke got the double. Is that right?
2017. Yeah, Benteke got the double, and Liverpool actually scored first with Coutinho as well.
Beautiful double though from Benteke it was.
Well, yeah, that's debatable. Yeah, especially when he celebrated in front of the Liverpool fans with Sacco as well, who was on loan at the time as well.
Yeah.
So
prime Benteke.
Yeah, he always, whoever he played for, always used to score goals against Liverpool. Doesn't matter if it was Villa or, like you say, Palace. He always used to have a good game. But I'll just run into the head-to-head. That's why we're obviously here. We're in the first part of the discussion here. So in total, let me have a look. There's been 44 games. Let's have a look. Right, there's been 23 games at Anfield and 21 games at Selhurst Park. 42 games in the Premier League in total. 26 Liverpool wins. Palace 9 wins, 7 draws. 142 goals scored in this fixture. Liverpool have scored 100. Palace have scored 42. Not great reading. last 5 results: 2-0 on the 23rd of May 2021, which was the last fixture, last game of the season. Before that, 24th of June 2020. This is all at Anfield, by the way. 4-0 victory. Before that, it was the 4-3 game. I don't know if you remember that, when Liverpool went in front. Then Palace scored a couple of goals. Then Liverpool scored a couple. So that was an interesting game. Then the game after that, 19th of August 2017, 1-0 Liverpool win. Before that, 23rd of April 2017, Palace won 2-1, and like you say, Benteke with both the goals. I'll come to you, Steve, first of all. Are you surprised at them, sort of the head-to-head record, or is it no surprise to yourself?
No, not overly, because the natural disposition for Crystal Palace when they play anyone in the top 6, especially under the tenure of Hodgson, was to sit back and allow the bigger team, or the defined bigger team, to sort of take the game to us and then hit them on the counter. Unfortunately, under Hodgson, the main issue that we've had, and we've had it for a fairly long time, is just the lack of goals. And you highlighted that with, how little we've scored compared to you in those games. So I'm not overly surprised by that, because every time we play a big side or a defined big side, we just give too much respect. And I think we just need to stop that and actually just take the game to people. And last weekend against Spurs is testament to a different approach and what that can do.
No, exactly. I'll come to you. I'll come to you next, Rich. Are you surprised with that, or is that something that you thought was expected? What was your take on that?
I pretty much echo what Steve said. We've always had a park the bus mentality. Yeah. And we kind of then just rely on the odd chance that we create, whether it's a Saha moment of brilliance or a Benteke finish. But I think what disappointed me the most with some of those fixtures is the manner in which we lost it. There's losing, fair enough, but we just capitulated in some. Some of the defending was like atrocious, and hence you see the 4 goals conceded from time to time. We're not going to talk about the Sellers Park one. Yeah, that did by 9. But I know we're going to go into Vieira. Like, I've been grinning from ear to ear this season, since pre-season, in all honesty, and that's no disrespect to Roy, because he's stabilized us as a club. But it was just frustrating seeing promoted sides come up, play better football, and get to Europe. So,
yeah, exactly. And Harry, surprised or not? No. Not really.
No, not one bit. Like the other chap said, under Roy, it was too negative. And with the way we've set up against these big teams, you'd go into a game, against these big teams, and you'd either get absolutely slapped, or we'd come away with one of the greatest results ever. For example, we didn't lose in Manchester for years. I think City and United, we beat them in consecutive years, or at least drew with City. Whereas we saved all of our heavy defeats for Liverpool away, it seems. We just don't play well there. But hopefully now Vieira's come in, you can tell there's a new mentality in the squad, and the players they're all very much more buying into it. Hopefully we can see something a bit better this weekend. Absolutely.
I think the biggest difficulty, specifically under Hodgson, like Rich said, he's 100% right. He stabilised us in the first season, but after that, it was like every time we played a big side or a big defined side, it was almost as if the team, when they walked out, had given up before they'd even started. And so many times, you were losing 3s, 4s, 5-0s, and it was just, like Rich said, extremely frustrating. I mean, the 7-0 loss that we had against you, I mean, you could p-roll the shot in, it would have gone in. It just seemed like everything you hit would go in. But it was every shot that you had, everyone was standing off, and it's like, go on in, take a shot. And it was just bewildering.
And just on the back of that, I think what was frustrating about that 7-0 defeat was we had chances in the first half anyway.
In the first half, we could have gone 2-0 up.
So, and then all of a sudden, it's like they were like, oh right, we've missed these chances. We're not going to get another one. That was it.
Yeah,
literally
exactly. No, it was obviously, as a Liverpool fan, it was good viewing for me personally. I enjoyed it. Obviously, not so much for you guys. Just in the chat again, Hector, appreciate you coming on, mate. I know you are a regular viewer, so appreciate it, man. This is Suicide 3 Palace fans. Wow, we're going to defend you, SMS. Appreciate it. And after that Anfield defeat, I remember we went on a long unbeaten streak at Anfield. Very true, 67 games unbeaten after that game. So yeah, fingers crossed it's another 3 points, but we'll touch upon that when we come to the predictions, because I always enjoy that. Obviously, like I say, I'm outnumbered this week with regards to Palace fans versus Liverpool fans here. But it'd be interesting to get your take. This is always why we do this rivals point of view, because I could sit here and be biased for the full hour, but it's nice to get someone else's point of view as well. So we'll just go and touch upon next thing that I was going to mention here, danger men. Harry, I'll come to you first of all. Obviously, you watch Palace week in, week out. Who would you say your danger men are? Not just in this game, but just in general, who would you say your danger men are?
So I think one man that I'd really look at the moment is Conor Gallagher.
Yeah.
So the guy's coming from Chelsea, and he's been fantastic. He's filled that hole in the middle. He really transitions the ball from the defence in the midfield through into the attack. He's always making that clever little pocket of space and then the little wide run out the wing. Yeah. And at the weekend, Spurs didn't know what to do with him. He just runs rings around these guys, and if he works on his finishing, he could probably get a few goals under his belt as well. He stuck 3 into Rosette at the weekend, which on another day he might have buried, and we'd be looking at an even bigger scoreline. But he, for me, is a real key player for us this season, and hopefully in the long term we can look at something else. But I highly doubt it, because I think Chelsea are going to want to keep him going forward.
I don't know. I think that's quite an interesting thing you point out there, Harry. But if from a neutral point of view, look at Chelsea's squad and what they do, they want proven Europeans to be in their squad, and season after season, for as long as I've known and seen, they don't trust in their youth. They don't trust in what they pull through, and they would rather just sell them. And I think we probably got just as much chance of buying him than we have not getting him, if that makes sense. And we have to go in for him. It's vital that we try and secure that, because if he does go back, he's got 1 year left of his contract. He's not starting for Chelsea. There's no chance that's happening.
But he could start for Chelsea. He's a very, very good player.
He could, but under the Tuchel regime, he's got no chance under him, because Jorginho and what's his name? I can't remember his name now.
Kante.
Yeah, that's it. They're always going to take precedence over him. He would be lucky to make the bench at best.
Yeah.
No,
fair enough. Guys, obviously I can see there's a few in the chat. Please keep your comments coming. Please make sure before you leave, obviously this evening, you do go over and like the channel. Obviously we'll make sure that we'll highlight Steve, obviously your channel, Rich, Harry, I know you haven't got one, but we'll make sure we'll give you some exposure on our Twitter feed as well. But obviously, if you could please share it on your channel as well, just so we can potentially get some obviously more subscribers coming out. It doesn't always have to be Liverpool related. Just nice to get, like I say, this sort of fan base where we can have these open discussions. Football's about opinions. You don't always have to be. Obviously, it'd be boring if everyone agreed on everything. So this is obviously why we do these sort of things. But Steve, obviously come to you as well now. Obviously, like I say, not just in this game, but who do you see the danger men for yourself going forward this season?
I think it's really exciting. The dynamics have changed dramatically. Last season and the previous 3 to that, it was what's Zaha going to do for us in a game. We've been really unlucky with the injury to Eze. It's a horrible injury, but it looks like he's going to come back quicker than we first thought. So that's good on the horizon. But I think right the way through our side, what we've bought and what we spent in terms of the players that we've recruited, we've never had a recruitment like this. This is probably unprecedented times for Crystal Palace, because we've never had a better set of recruitment ever, in my opinion. Gallagher will be a danger naturally, like Rich and the boys have suggested. Zaha obviously will be, but the beauty with Gallagher, and specifically if we start Edouard, is it will free up space for Zaha, and I'd be very, very concerned if I was a Liverpool fan with Trent Alexander. Now I know I'm going to get lambasted for this.
Yeah,
but he's not a good defender. He's tracking back. He's appalling. And he's been played in the wrong position by Klopp. All day long, he needs to be in midfield. His ability to pass, his vision, his crossing, his set plays are exemplary. And it's probably unfortunate for him that Henderson is highly regarded and is in that position. But give it another season, I don't think it'll be long before Klopp considers that as an idea. So many times, and I know you won't agree, but so many times from a neutral point of view, when you look at what Trent does, he exposes you so often and leaves so much space, and you get absolutely ruined. And I'm sorry, last night AC Milan, you beat them in the end, which fair play, but he was exposed, and the 2 goals that they scored was his fault.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Obviously, I'm going to disagree. First of all, I think. And the reason why I'm going to disagree, I think if he was to play in midfield, he's not going to get the time on the ball that he does get it right back. He gets a lot more time on the ball. I think he's wasted in midfield, if I'm honest. I really do. Yes, he can play them balls. He can switch the play to Robertson. So I think he's the best right back in the world. None of this Wan-Bissaka bollocks. That's Wan-Bissaka for me. I know you're Palace fans, but Wan-Bissaka hasn't got a left foot.
No.
He can't kick with both feet. And I know you're probably going to disagree, but that's what it's for. This is what it's for. This is why I want you guys on here.
I'm going to throw it in there. Reece James for me is the best right back in the Premier League. His defensive ability is second to none. And the amount of mistakes that Trent makes versus the amount of mistakes naturally, it's always going to be the natural disposition to defend your own player, but he just. You're lucky you've got the quality in your squad, because there's so many times players will cover the mistakes Trent makes, but he's exposed so much more than he should be, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with. Sorry, go on.
No, it's fine. But yeah, the thing with last night, we're playing AC Milan. It was sort of the first time Matip and Gomez have played for a good long time, and. To be fair, if Van Dijk's playing, in all fairness, he'll probably make me and you guys look world class. He's just that good. He did maybe get exposed a little bit, but that's just the way that the game we play. Van Dijk normally gets him out of jail, if I'm honest. Because yes, Trent, you find him, he's normally right next to Salah on the right wing. So again, his all-out play mainly now is to attack. He doesn't really yes, obviously he still has to defend, but he's needed more. Most of our play goes down the wings, and most of our play is created by either Robbo or Trent. So no, I get what you're saying, but I just think me personally, I think Trent is obviously wasted in midfield. I think his best position is right back, and I honestly do believe he is the best right back in the world at this moment in time.
I mean, I'm not being controversial, but there's a reason why Trent's not making the England squad right now, in my opinion, because Kyle Walker, because of who he is, because of who he plays for, and he's just a speed merchant, and he recovers himself because of that. He's going to be the first point of call, probably, maybe for another season, perhaps. But right now, if Trent keeps doing what he's doing, he's just going to fall behind the pecking order. Especially with Southgate and his limitations as a manager.
Yeah, but going forward, Trent's brilliant, but I think Steve's right. Defensively, I think he's not all there. I think I'd pinpoint him as the weak link in terms of us going forward at the weekend, and that's who I'd be targeting. But yeah, like you say, he's wasted in midfield. They showed that in the England game whatever it was 2 weeks ago. He played there, didn't he? And it didn't work out.
It's prudent for Harry to say that because if Trent's going to go forward in the game against us Saturday, he's going to leave you very exposed with the likes of Zaha and the pace that Zaha's got to get away, especially with how he controls the ball at pace as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle plays out. But I think that will, as Harry said, be the one key area that we will probably go and try and challenge.
No, fair enough. Like I say, you all make some good points. Like I say, it's we don't have to agree on everything. Like I say, obviously we don't agree on the Trent, and that's absolutely fine. It's like I say, football's opinion based, and not every opinion's right. Your opinion, you probably think is right. I think my opinion's right. But like I say, it's all fresh. It's decent. This is why we want rival fans on. This is why I created this called the Rivals Point of View, to get obviously the teams that we're due to play against their sort of take on things, and not just talk about Liverpool, but obviously talk about your team as well. So no, you all bring some good points. I'll come to you. I'll come to you, Rich. Now, obviously, who do you see your danger men being? Like I say, not just in this game, but in the season going forward.
Do you know how nice it is to not have to say Wilfried Zaha?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm like thinking, is it Edouard? Is it Gallagher? Is it Zaha?
Is it Eze? Is it Elise?
Elise? Like, it's unbelievable. I mean, I'm crazy excited about this season. But I'm gonna say Edouard. I saw enough against Tottenham to say this guy can score 15 to 20 goals for us.
Yeah.
And I don't think any striker's got as close to that since, like, maybe even the Andy Johnson days. You know, both his goals, 2 touches in the box, goal.
Yeah.
You know, and that's with players around him. You know, his finishing's unbelievable. And I believe it was Stephen, sorry if it was you, Harry, who mentioned that, like, his presence in itself will create space for the players around him.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Wilf literally isolated Emerson Royale last week, and Emerson Royale had a torrid time. And to be fair, and that's the change in our system. We're no longer we don't sit back anymore. Anderson's going to be very key to this game, I think, because if we set up correctly with Trent pushing up the field so much, those long diagonals that he's been playing, he's going to Zaha every time.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that'll be the key to us getting something out of the game.
Fair enough.
Anderson's right foot is a wand. He can pick up the left passes.
Exactly. It's also worth noting as well that one key word has not been linked to Palace in the Premier League tenure that we've had so far, and that's clinical. But all of a sudden, I've got a real revitalised level of confidence, given how Edouard's just a fox in the box, if you like. As soon as he got the ball, his first thing that he wanted to do was shoot. Whereas prior to that, if we'd have played it into Benteke, or we played it into who else was up front, it would just be hold it up, pass it back. And, you know, this is why we struggled for 4 seasons with the number of shots. Like, some games, like, literally didn't even register a shot. And that's how poor it's been. Yeah. So the confidence that I've got in terms of how we're playing, that high press, trying to get the ball back when we lose it, it's just, I'm buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, and just one last bit from me. On that note, Liverpool's midfield is so dynamic. And we've had an issue trying to get close to you in the past, because we could say we had, like, leggy midfielders in a sense. I think Mac is pretty much the most dynamic of the 3 that we had, like in Kayute and Milo at the time.
Yeah.
Now, we could match you in midfield. And it may not be necessarily for quality, but for just legs. I think we ran a stat that we ran like 15 kilometers or something last week. That was never happening before. You know, and obviously Gallagher's obviously pivotal to that as well. So I think if we can hold our own in the midfield battle, I think we're going to give ourselves a very good chance.
Okay, fair enough. Just going back into the chat here, not forgetting the game is happening at Anfield, so it's going to be very, very difficult for Crystal Palace to get something out of this game. I mean, obviously I'm going to agree with that. Anfield, crowd back in. Last season, obviously with the crowds, it was difficult. I think other than Anfield, when you look at it and some of the atmospheres that you've seen, I think Anfield and Selhurst Park is definitely up there with regards to home atmosphere. I think you've got the Ultras end as well. So I do think Liverpool and Crystal Palace have missed out specifically with the fans and not getting the results that they wanted at home. Now that fans are back in, potentially you could do well, and you've not got Roy, who's playing that sort of defensive sort of form where you just sit back, have maybe 30% possession if you're lucky, but try and get a counter attack, and Zaha maybe sticks one away, or Benteke. But like you touched upon, I think they're both quite a few of you now have said clinical, and I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, obviously you've got Edouard, who I've watched quite a bit at Celtic before he came to you guys. I was very shocked that, not that he came to yourself, because most players from Scotland generally do come over to the Premier League, but the amount that
he chose us over Brighton, which is understandable.
So that will please you. That will definitely please you in itself anyway. But no, I mean, the price tag itself, I mean, it was very low for a player of his caliber. He is a really, really good player, and he's definitely one that, for me as a Liverpool fan, I would have to watch out for. Like you guys said as well, Zaha always has a good game generally against Liverpool, and also what I said before we went live, Townsend, who's obviously not playing now, he's playing across the road at Goodison Park. He also had a good game every time he put on a Crystal Palace shirt against Liverpool. So, like I said, it's going to be a different sort of game to what we're maybe used to. And like you say, under Vieira, I haven't seen too many of your games, but it just brings us nicely on to just the next topic that we're going to touch upon here. And obviously your season so far. So, Rich, I'll come to you so far. I know obviously we're already 4 games into it, but how Palace fans in general feeling about your season so far? Obviously 4 games in.
Extremely excited.
Yeah.
From pre-season, from the get-go, we're trying to play out from the back.
Yeah.
But play up from the back with pace, purpose, get the ball through the lines as quickly as possible. And Patrick said himself, there's no point of keeping the ball if we don't have intent in the final third, especially, and we're not creating chances. Now, obviously, we started off the season against Chelsea, and it was always going to be difficult. And we made some mistake. Not saying that if the mistakes didn't happen, we would have got something out of it, but there were mistakes made, which is going to happen. It's a complete transition that we're in. You know, we've got pundits writing us off already just because it's Patrick Vieira and not Roy.
We're favourites for relegation still.
It's mad.
Unbelievable.
It's mad. But then you went into the Brentford game where they did have chances, but we looked a lot better. The West Ham game for me was a turning point because we were horrid in the first half. And this is where I said to myself, I can trust this guy as our coach. At halftime, he got Mitchell and Ward to just push up 10 yards, and West Ham couldn't get out of their half. Like, that second half, we were unbelievable. And I said to myself, this is a proactive coach here. We have a proactive manager who, if something's not working, he'll change it. He won't wait 70, 80 minutes before he makes a sub. He will do something about it. And then obviously you saw last week, yes, Tottenham had players missing, but we completely dominated the game.
That's the thing with that. I just find it bewildering. I find it a bit salty. The fact that predominantly the Spurs players are, we had players missing. You had Son missing. That was it.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
You know, you can't turn around and say stuff like you were absolutely battered, and you need to just accept the fact that that was the case. Yeah, it's lowly Crystal Palace, but it doesn't matter. We absolutely battered them, and they're resenting every minute of it. And I just find it really peculiar to say that we had players missing. That was the reason why. That wasn't it. It was because you were piss poor on the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to be honest. I didn't watch the game, but when I was in Liverpool at the time, I was doing the museum and stadium tour in Liverpool. But they had it on the big screen inside the club shop, and when I'd seen the result 3-0, I was obviously very surprised. Like I say, was it clear cut where even before the red card from Tanganga, did you dominate the game? Because, like I say, I'll have to be honest, I didn't watch the game. Yeah. I mean, Harry, I'll come to you. Was it clear cut? Did you dominate the game before the sending off, or was the setting off sort of the catalyst for Spurs' down failure?
Yeah, so I think before the red card, we were absolutely dominating the game. We're just not being clinical enough in that final third, which of course it did become easier once Tanganga went off. But I feel before the red card, absolutely, we were controlling the play. We were having the better of the chances. We'd limited Spurs down to one shot from before the red card, and they didn't have any after. We looked good. I'm with Rich on this. I think since Vieira's come in, he has made us. He's really refreshed the whole squad, and like I said, the changes he's making, it's really having a positive impact on the games. Whereas before, we'd be losing 1-0, and Roy would bring on another CDM just to see out the 1-0 defeat. Like it was the most frustrating stuff in the world to watch. Whereas now we're 1-0 up, and he brings on another striker who then scores within 20 seconds. So it's really refreshing to see these changes coming in, and I think it's looking good for the future.
Yeah, just on that note, there's one thing that's really ticked me off though, is that every pundit and stuff since then, and some Spurs fans, they're saying that Spurs were poor and not crediting us with how we played, which has been very frustrating.
But that's a common denominator anytime we ever do play well. And that goes for any other sort of allegedly smaller clubs, specifically teams like Leeds and Brighton, who are a lot smaller as well. You don't get the credit when you're doing well. Okay, sorry, touched Harry, didn't it? You don't get the credit, and you never will get the credit, because if you look at who's employed as a pundit, it's always top 6 players, isn't it? And their natural disposition is to side with who they played for, or who they respected, rather than the defined minnow. Crystal Palace beats Spurs 3-0. No credit whatsoever is given.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The Spurs did play badly, but it's because the way we played forced them to play badly. They didn't have a chance.
Interesting, but like I said, I didn't see the game, so I can't really disagree with it or not. I didn't really watch Match the Day or anything like that, even get the clips of it or anything like that. But 3-0 in
Match
itself,
they didn't do it justice.
Yeah, 3-0 in itself.
It could have been more. It could have been more. But the season to date, too much respect given to Chelsea, and we got absolutely overrun. Brentford, they were on a high. The motivation's there. You're always going to find that a team that gets promoted, it's not so easy to get the result against them. And given how they beat Arsenal so easy, another small club, it's testament to Thomas Frank, who's I think is a fantastic manager. And like Rich said, that second half, what Vieira said to the team at half-time, I don't know. Maybe he threw some F and Jeffs into the team. I don't know. But the difference since then, I think it suddenly clicked. It's clicked what Vieira wants, and we look dangerous for the first time for a long time.
It's interesting you say that. Like I say, I mean, three goals in the last 20 minutes, wasn't it? Penalty from Zaha. And then Edouard got 2 in the 80th minute and then 90th minute, I believe it was, wasn't it? So obviously clinical, that's a word we've used already today. Hopefully come Saturday 3 p.m. we don't use that word for clinical for you guys anyway, more for Liverpool, because certain players, unfortunately, Sadio Mane is a one that I've mentioned quite a few times recently, as he seems to he had 10 chances on his own against Leeds. I don't know if any of you guys seen that game, but the amount of chances that he had against Leeds was unbelievable. He could have had 10 himself.
He should have had 4 or 5 as an absolute minimum.
Yeah,
he had a good game, apart from his finishing.
Exactly. So just to touch upon the next subject, which I want to get your opinion on as well, and then obviously I'll get you to say where you think Liverpool may finish. I know it's early on in the season, but I do like to do this for everyone I do. But so where do you think you will finish, obviously, come May? So Steve, I'll start with you first of all. Just quickly say where you think Palace may finish this season.
I think if we can replicate the way we played against Spurs on a regular basis, I think we have an outside chance of challenging for top 10. being realistic, given it's a transitional season for us under a new manager, and we're learning all the time. I personally, I would take 11th, 12th, even down to 14th. I mean, as long as we stay up, that aspect's pivotal to start with. But I think we've got an outside chance of top 10 if we take the game to some of these top 6 teams, especially, and beat the teams around us. Those are the key results: beating teams around us as well.
Yeah, no problem. And Rich, I'll come to you. Where do you think, just briefly, where do you think potentially Palace will finish this coming May?
I've always stated anything between 11th and 14th, or even 15th. It's just about survival.
Yeah.
But now that I've seen the way we've been playing lately, I'm going to go 12th.
12, okay. And Harry?
So I think in the coming years, we can look more towards the top half of the table, definitely. But this year, we're not going to replicate that performance we did against Spurs at the weekend. If we play it to that high intensity every game of the season, we'll probably burn out before the season even finishes and crumble. I think there's going to be bad days. So I think Rich he's got quite a realistic aim of where we're going to finish, sort of anywhere between that 11th and 15th.
Yeah,
would be good for this transitional period, and then next year we can really build on that and look for a that top half finish and hopefully more.
Yeah, make no bones. I mean, I am a realist. It is a slim outside chance of top 10 if we carry on in that manner. But we are Palace. It's this one word that links to us and always has done as well. Aside of being clinical, and it's a roller coaster for us as a club. And you think you're doing well 1 minute, and you start to get a couple of good results. You think, hey, what's going on here? And then all of a sudden, you have a couple of bad ones because we can equally be exposed. But this is different. This feels different. So, early signs look very, very good.
No, fair enough. Hector in the chat as well. He's a Liverpool fan, and he said, I do believe Crystal Palace will be between 9th and 13th. So, sort of what you've predicted. Not bad, as you said, 10. He said sort of top 10 to sort of 14th or 15th. So he's sort of agreeing with you on that. No, keep the comments
Hector's
coming.
a top lad. I like Hector.
Yeah, he's a good lad. And that's coming from a Liverpool fan as well. I mean, Palace last season, to be honest, obviously, Roy done absolutely terrible for Liverpool. He was out of his depth. Didn't know what to do with the players he had.
I disagree. He made your best signing that you've ever made, Paul Konchesky. I mean, what a player!
Oh dear, what a terrible player he was. When his mum's defending him on Twitter, then it says it all. He's defending them from the Liverpool fans and stuff like that. But I think he was out of his depth, and no disrespect to Crystal Palace. I think Roy, you done well, got stability for yourselves as well, kept you in the Premier League. Yeah, you didn't play the best football, but sometimes it's not always about playing the best football. It's about getting them results, and most importantly, you did generally get them results against the teams in and around you. You're not expected to sort of pick up points against sort of like the top 6, if we're honest. But I think Roy as a whole, I know obviously didn't play attractive football, but would you agree? Overall, were you happy enough with the way that Palace, not as the football you played, but the results and the finishes where you finished when Roy was in charge? Would you agree that was sort of acceptable?
Well, we did have some fantastic results. I mean, results of note are beating Man United 3-1 away. Man City, we beat them at their place. Smashing Leeds 4-1. Welcome to the Premiership. That's worth noting. And the robbery at the Amex with Benteke. Those games are always of note. But there's also games where you go the way to Burnley and you lose.
Yeah.
You lose to Newcastle and stuff like that, and it just sticks in your throat a little bit.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I just want to touch upon that because obviously we said about Crystal Palace and obviously Hodgson. It would be only fair that would touch upon opposition manager as well in Vieira. So, Harry, I'll come to you first of all. Thoughts so far on Vieira? Do you like what you see so far? Do you think he's going to be in it for the long term? How are you seeing it so far with Vieira?
I'm really happy with how Vieira started. I like what he's doing with the club. I'm happy with the players he brought in. I know that it's probably not all to do with him. Friedman had a lot to do with the players that came in as well. But the way he's integrated them into the squad seems happier. They seem more collective bunch as well. I'm just really happy with how he started, and hopefully that can continue to grow as we go on. And it's just such a nice change from the. I know we touched on it a couple of times, but the last couple of years with Roy, it was hard to watch at times. It really was. But to watch this Vieira football, that's it's far more attractive and fluid. It's really refreshing to see. So yeah, absolutely, I'm over the moon with him so far.
Good. And Rich, just quickly your thoughts, obviously, on Vieira. Are you happy so far? Long may it continue.
Oh yes. No.
Good lad.
You know what? In all honesty, it's just nice to see good football. You know, and attacking football. That the simple stuff, like I touched on earlier on, to have promoted clubs come up. I think it was after Wolves did it. That's when I was really annoyed. Yeah, they came up from the Championship, played excellent football, made Europe.
Yeah.
So just to see us playing without fear.
Yeah.
It's not the final product yet. It's still things that can be polished, but it's looking good, and we're creating chances, and we're going to get. Hopefully, I hope at least it starts tomorrow. He was excellent
I agree.
for the under-23s. Super, literally ran the show, and then Ez's to come back. Will Hughes hasn't seen minutes yet. Gyro seems to be out of favour. All of a sudden,
I don't think Vieira likes him. I get the impression he's not a fan.
Yeah, I don't think he likes him. He'd rather play Chiarte than Riedewald, and that is a little bit concerning in itself.
It is.
That's painful to watch. Yeah,
it is very painful. But we look at our bench now, and we're not scrambling.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, no, there's quality there.
And there's also a curveball to throw in there specifically for you two Crystal Palace lads. And it's interesting if the rumours are true that Rakzaki, he looks a player, and Liverpool have been sniffing around him.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see probably in the sort of second third of the season a real emergence from that lad. I think we'll see him get some decent game time. And he is quality.
He's different class.
Yeah, he looks good. He'll see minutes over the Christmas period. When there's that real busy period of fixtures and you need to chop and change your team. He'll see some minutes there and show what he can do. And hopefully he's the next Zaha, if you like.
Yeah. And Steve, obviously, just thoughts on Vieira so far, and happy with it overall.
Yeah, the early foundations. Like Rich pointed out earlier, just. As a Palace fan, you've never really got yourself into a mould where you can let yourself become excited. But given the football, given the way that he's sort of getting this team going, the spirit, the ambitions as well in a game, you don't and haven't seen them for a long time in the red and blue. So I'm just really, really excited about what's going to come forward. And like Harry mentioned, there will be some bad days.
Yeah,
I'm not deluded enough to think that, but there's also going to be some really good days. And last weekend, hopefully, be the first of many.
Fingers crossed for you guys, anyway, being Palace fans. But obviously, for me, Liverpool fan, let's hope it starts from Sunday onwards. But just before we touch upon obviously our predictions for Saturday's game, I can't let you go without giving your thoughts sort of on Klopp. Where you think Liverpool may finish this season. So, Harry, I'll come to you first of all. Thoughts on Klopp, and just quickly where you think Liverpool will finish this season.
Yeah, look, I think Klopp's a fantastic manager. I think he's a funny guy. He's good to watch. He has that good entertainment value, and he's created a real solid force at Liverpool over the years. And hopefully that continues. There's these talks of him leaving when his contract's up, which I don't want to see. I think he's great for the league. And hopefully, he can continue doing what he's doing. He's doing for you guys. He's doing a really fine job, as you well know. In terms of where you'll finish this season, it's a hard one to say right now. I don't think you'll win the league this year, personally. But I think you'll be up there, in and around the mixer. Second or third, I think, is where I see you finishing this year for sure. I think that this is certainly doable for you, and then maybe next year push on for that league title again. I don't know.
Okay, Rich, I'll come to you next. Do you agree with that, or do you see Liverpool finishing maybe as champions or just below?
I think you're being slept on. I think because of like everything that's happened, like for example with like Ronaldo going to Man United, Lukaku at Chelsea, Pep. I feel you might just creep under the radar now. I've tipped Chelsea to win the league. I'll say third. No. I'm second or third. I'm not sure because I think because it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Man United, I reckon they might finish fourth. Personally, I think he's the problem at that club.
I disagree with that.
It's between yourselves and City for second and third.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go third. I'll say third.
Third, right? Okay. So Hector is in the chat there saying we will win the league, and if we don't, there's no way we're finishing below Young Boys, i.e. Man United. I mean, the thing that I would argue, I mean, we finished third last season. When you think about it, we didn't have Van Dijk, didn't have Matip, didn't have Gomez. We had Henderson and Fabinho playing centre backs, and when they eventually played their positions, we still finished third. And we had Reece Williams and Nat Phillips, who were our 6th and 7th choice centre back pairing. So when you put it in all the context, and this is all a big word, context, because it all depends on. We've got one of the best 11s out there, if not the best in the Premier League. Our starting 11 is definitely up there, if not the best in the Premier League. It's whether or not the likes of Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip can stay fit for this full season. If they can, then I honestly do see us winning the league. If not, then I think if we do get one big injury, i.e. Van Dijk or Salah or someone like that, and there isn't the quality to bring in to cover, then obviously I think potentially where we finished last season, third, would be probably acceptable. It's difficult to say. You can't really. It's too early to judge. But if all of Liverpool's squad stays fit, then it'll be interesting to see where we'll finish up. Because, and the only reason why I'm saying this, Liverpool, when they won the Premier League, finished 18 points above. They'd already won it with 8 games to go. Obviously, slacked off a little bit because they'd already won it. They were celebrating. So there's the safe form is temporary, class is permanent, and I would totally agree with that. You don't become a bad team overnight, and it'll be interesting as long as we stay injury free. I am confident in my team to finish as champions. But Steve, obviously, I'll get your opinion now. What would you say?
I think you've got a problem behind the scenes. I think your physios and your medical department and the way that you train, if that isn't changing, I think you're going to struggle. I think you're going to finish third, maybe even fourth, because the last 2 seasons your injury record has rivaled us.
Yeah,
but you've had the worst amount of injuries in any side the last 2 seasons, and there has to be something more behind it, because how can that happen 2 seasons in a row? Okay, Van Dijk's injury, that was just unfortunate, and it was a poor sort of challenge, etc. But Gomez, Matip, those players, yes, they've got the ability, yes, they're talented, but I don't mean to be harsh, but they're made of glass. And half the time, they don't even have to be touched, and they go down injured, which it just weakens you significantly. And you're 100% right. If you can keep fit, then you can challenge. If you start to see a list of injuries building up, I feel that you might even struggle to hit top 4, because you rely on some of those players so much, especially Van Dijk. And the point you mentioned earlier in the show is that he makes people look world class, because he anticipates the mistakes they're about to make in a really bizarre way and rectifies it. And if you haven't got players like that helping you, And all of a sudden, you have to start pulling Fabinho to the back four and taking him out of the equation. It's going to be tough. But, I mean, early signs are good. No one's injured. But I just fear if you get a mounting injury list, you can certainly challenge for the Premier League if you're all fit. But if that mounts up, I think it's going to be a struggle. And Chelsea's recruitment and United's recruitment in the right position seems in the early signs seem to be very, very good, especially Lukaku at Chelsea. And for me, it makes Chelsea favourites right now.
No, fair enough. I mean, I'd agree to an extent with Chelsea because unfortunately, they've got an owner who can just literally buy anyone. Say with Manchester City, their bench. Obviously, when you look at Chelsea's bench and Manchester City's bench, then Liverpool's. Obviously, there's not even a comparison. Liverpool's bench, unfortunately, isn't at the caliber of the likes of Chelsea or a Manchester City, where Manchester United, and I'll quickly touch upon this just before we get the predictions, but I think where Manchester United have missed out this season is a centre midfielder. When you look at it, Fred, McTominay, Matic aren't good enough for the Premier League, never mind Manchester United. So that I think they missed a boat. Yes, obviously there's love affair with Ronaldo, and yes, he can do it on a weekly basis. He can do, but still doesn't mean that they're not vulnerable at the back. I mean, young boys especially, which was all, I'm sure we'll all agree. Well, I had a good laugh of it anyway. I don't know about you guys, but
no, absolutely.
You know,
It was a given.
You know what the crazy thing about the midfielders?
Yeah,
they've got probably the best player that could play there sitting on their bench.
Well, Van der Beek.
Van der Beek, yeah.
Doesn't get a game though, does he? So
I can't get my head around why he's not getting a look in there.
It's one of those weird ones. It's like it's really weird. You could be like first choice, and then you're playing, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you're out of favour. And it doesn't matter what you do and how you do it. It's not going to make any difference. You're still out of favour, and you stay out of favour. And I think he's a victim of that. Ollie's just looked at him and nah, don't like you anymore.
Yeah, no,
and that's
exactly. Just want to go back into the chat here because we've got a regular on the show here at the minute, Chris Welsh. Hope you're well, mate. This guy, if you haven't seen him already, go over to his channel. He is very, very funny. Just give you some of his comments here. So Manchester United will finish fourth and win nothing under the Norwegian Gollum. I said they would win nothing last season, and they didn't, and won't win anything again. Who they want? What else has he said? He said, I think mid-table for Palace. I have a soft spot for them. Yeah, Chris, you guys won't know. He plays FIFA quite a bit, and he apparently plays Crystal Palace when he's playing FIFA. So he's obviously got a soft spot for Palace there. And another honest opinion from Chris as well. I think second for us, we just really being injury-free, rely on being injury-free, which we've all said that as well. So we've also got another regular in as well, the Dugout Football channel. If you haven't been on Doug's channel, please go over to his channel. He's got a lot of good things coming up. He does Bundesliga previews, match reactions, all sorts. So yeah, his channel content and general football knowledge is second to none. SS, part of the Red Sea podcast. Evening, lads. So hope you're well, SS. Nice to have you on. We're going to briefly now touch upon the predictions before we close up. I'll let you, Palace fans, say your predictions. I'll come to you first, Steve. What prediction are you going for Saturday 3 p.m. kickoff?
It's a difficult one because when you play a defined big side, you hope for everything, but you expect nothing. There's a bit in me. There's a bit in me that says we're gonna shit house a 1-0 win. But there's also the vast majority of me says we're gonna get smashed. I'm going for a 1-0 win. Sod it.
1-0. Okay, Mr. Optimistic there, definitely. Rich, you next. What score are you going for here?
My head's telling me it's going to be very difficult. And if we were to lose, we'll lose 2-0 or 3-1. It'd be like a 2-goal margin. But I said this after the Spurs game. I said I'm a lot more confident. I think we can nick a draw. I'm going 2-2.
God, that's a few. You're covering all avenues there. You've said 2-0, 3-1, 2-2.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the 2-2.
I'll throw another. I feel like we can do another Christian ball.
Big 3-3.
I'll throw that out here. That's definitely not happening there. Definitely not. Definitely not at all. Harry, what score prediction are you going to go for? Are you going to be honest here? Or are you going to go with obviously with your heart and say Palace can pull something off? Shock may be. What score are you going for?
All I'll say is I know we're gonna concede, and the reason for that is because we can't play Liverpool without Sadio Mane scoring. It's a fact. Especially I think if he scores, it's his 100th Premier League goal. Is that right? Or 100th Liverpool goal?
100th Premier League goal. Yeah.
It's nailed on that he'll score within the first 5 minutes of the game starting. Then.
Yeah.
If we play like we did against Spurs at the weekend, we can certainly look to nick a draw.
Yeah.
If we really up our game, then yeah, absolutely. Anyone can nick a win on their day. Realistically, I think we're looking at a 2-1, 3-1 defeat. But the optimist in me says yeah, draw. I'll go 2-2.
No problem. Doug's put a great stat out here, which I already knew anyway, because he did ask this question on my channel the other day. But the last time Liverpool played Palace at Anfield at a 3 p.m. kickoff, do you know what the score was? I did mention it briefly at the start, but do you know what the score was?
2-0 Palace.
No.
No, go on, I don't know.
No?
Crush my optimism. Go on, what was it?
It was 4-3 to Liverpool.
Oh, was it that one?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That was the one that I think Townsend scored first. Then I think we went into 2-1.
Yeah.
Then it was...
was that the one where Speroni dropped the ball?
Yeah, it's the one where Speroni threw the ball in the net. I was there at that game.
Exactly.
I think even Max Meyer got on the score sheet, didn't he?
Yeah. It went to 2-1, then 3-1, then I think it was 3-2, then 4-2, then 4-3. Like you say, Max Meyer scored. Just want to go back into just a couple of the things here. Let's have a look. So Doug said Liverpool 3, Palace 1. Like I said, Doug comes on my YouTube channel as well as this one. Links can be found in the bio, which I'll obviously give you at the end there. But he said 3-1 Salah for 2 of them, Fabinho and Edouard for yourselves. Hector's gone for 2-1, no clean sheet for Liverpool. Obviously, I know you've just said there that you've eagle-eyed, yeah. So, Rich, you've just subscribed to Chris's channel and Doug's as well. Appreciate that, mate. Chris has just said, I just want the win at all. All that matters, ideally win and a clean sheet, not some of the shambles defending versus AC Milan. Doug said, thank you as well. Appreciate it. So is Chris. Salah, Firmino, Mane, ×2, Townsend, Tompkins, Mayer. So, yeah, like you touched upon, Mane has got an incredible record. The thing that's letting Mane down at the minute, which I did touch upon, is his finishing. His finishing has been shocking. Hopefully that maybe improve. He likes playing against Palace. I think he's got something like 7 or 8 goals in the last 4 or 5 games against Palace. So he does like playing against Palace, and hopefully that continue on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to give you my prediction, which is something similar to what Doug has said, but I'm going to go for a 3-0 win, clean sheet for Liverpool. I'm feeling confident in my team as always, and I think obviously I wish Palace best of luck for the season, but I'm just seeing maybe an early goal or 2, and then just round it off maybe 80th minute or so with a third. I'm going to go for Salah to score 2, and I'm going to go for Mane to score. But yeah, guys, that just rounds it up. Anything you guys want to sort of add before we close up?
I'll just thank you for having us on, and fair play to Klopp to be able to do what he does with your squad where you've only got to start in 11. Like your bench is shocking.
It is, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it is getting a little bit better. it is getting a little bit better. But still, unfortunately, like with the likes of, we can't compete with the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City. But when you've got Klopp as a manager, you've always got a chance. But
everyone moan, all the Liverpool fan base moan about the recruitment, but you went out and bought Konate for 36 million, just like that. First day of the transfer window, you announced the signing.
Yeah.
And Klopp, he's looked at it and thought, that's all I need. I don't need anything else. And Harvey Elliott, real harsh injury for him, and he'll come back.
Yeah.
It's just a dislocated ankle, isn't it? Apparently.
It's a dislocated ankle, but he's going to be out for at least five months or so, I would say.
But he'll come back because he's young and he's strong and whatnot. He'll be fine from that perspective. But players like that, he's basically streamlined straight through to the first team, and he's a quality player.
Yeah.
Last season at Blackburn was vital for him and his development. So.
Definitely.
You're always fine from that perspective, but I don't really know what Liverpool fans want when it comes to recruitment, because it's like, for Palace to go out and spend 36 million on a player has never happened, and it was just like that. Whilst we spent a fair amount of money because we've released a lot of wages, I find it bewildering what Liverpool fans want sometimes.
Just a few comments in. No, I agree with that. Chris has just said, take care, lads. All the best to Crystal Palace for the rest of the season. Hope they do well.
Chris.
And Hector said, Steve, Harry, eagle-eyed, it was nice having you guys here. So again, obviously appreciate you being on. Doug said, subscribe back, eagle-eyed football. As much as we won 7-0 at Palace, I fear going there from Liverpool perspective, especially with Selhurst Park atmosphere. Obviously, not at Selhurst Park this time, thank goodness. Even though we have got a better record there. But yeah, Steve, just quickly, where can we find you? Do you have a YouTube channel that our viewers can go and subscribe if possible?
No, I don't have a YouTube channel, but if you want to have a laugh every day, just follow me at No Context Humour. It will be a laugh at your expense quite often. But being Palace, you'll have plenty of opportunities to get me back. So if you want to laugh a day, then come follow me.
No problem. And obviously we know with yourself, Rich, eagle-eyed football, where can we find yourself, and where can our viewers, if they want to, subscribe to your channel?
Yeah, so that's eagle-eyed football on YouTube. Same name on Twitter, but the handle is @eagle-eyed-ball. And I am on Instagram. Don't use it as much as I do Twitter, but that's eagle_eyed _football.
No problem. And Harry, I know you haven't got a channel yourself, so obviously if anyone wants to follow yourself on Twitter or Instagram, just let the viewers know where we can find yourself.
Yeah, so on Twitter, HJ Clark, that's Clark with an E, and same for Instagram, just with 2 E's at the end.
No problem. We always just finish it off as well. Just to say what's coming up on the Red Sea podcast over the next week. We've got a shirt review coming next week. The 3rd review, the horrible yellow kit, which I'm sure you've all seen. Well, not
is that the one that was given to McDonald's because they were running out of uniform?
The McDonald's outfit, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that one.
I was thinking, would you know the one that you clean the surfaces with?
The little yellow one with the red trim around it. Yeah.
That's a dust cloth, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's a dust cloth.
Either way, it's horrible. But so we've got that coming next week. Obviously, we've got another episode of Rivals Point of View, which we normally do 8 p.m. on Thursday night. So it'll be against Brentford next Thursday. And I think we've got the Fab Four, which is obviously myself, Southern Scouser, Tiago's father, and Courtney Barker. So obviously you can catch us on there. We've generally got something on most days at the moment. So, but like I say, Steve, Rich, Harry, really do appreciate you coming on. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed it. But yeah, obviously, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Most importantly, yeah.
Yeah, anytime you want us on, myself specifically, just give us a shout. More than happy to join in.
Same here, mate. Absolutely happy to join in whenever.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, just before we go, like I said earlier on, make sure before you leave this this video, please give us a like. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. You can find us obviously at the Red Sea Podcast on Twitter. I'll send the obviously the Twitter feed out to yourself, and if you can please share it on your channel or just your Twitter, whichever it may be. But obviously, until next time, guys, it has been a pleasure, and as always, stay safe, guys. Yeah.
Anything you want retweeted, just give us a shout.
Yeah, will do, mate.
Cheers, mate.